Imagine holding the ultimate golden ticket to a multi-million-dollar corporate pop kingdom, only to realize the throne was actually a gilded cage, and deciding to tear that ticket to shreds. We begin our special investigative report tonight looking into the massive and sudden evolution of a vocalist the world thought they had completely figured out. For years, audiences across the globe watched a young, barefoot girl with a vintage jazz voice capture the hearts of millions on international talent stages. Top executives viewed Jordan as the ultimate prize, an undeniable raw talent destined to be heavily produced and molded into a generic global pop icon by the highest corporate bidder. When she initially partnered with massive entities like Republic Records, the established Hollywood playbook dictated that she was on the fast track to becoming a manufactured, radio-friendly sensation. However, our 2026 updates reveal a permanent and shocking shift in her trajectory. Sources deep within the music industry have watched in absolute awe as she executed a quiet but incredibly firm separation from the traditional major label machinery. She opted instead for a path of absolute independence, refusing to let her unique sound be sanitized or auto-tuned for fast-paced viral algorithms. By rejecting the immense financial security of a corporate giant, she essentially declared war on the traditional gatekeepers of modern stardom. This massive pivot has left seasoned record executives in a state of genuine alarm, as she is proving that in 2026, raw, authentic talent absolutely does not need a middleman to reach a worldwide audience. She has taken her master recordings and her destiny into her own hands, proving she is no longer a product for sale, but a visionary powerhouse. But the road to this new empire was paved with intense behind-the-scenes battles that almost broke her, setting the stage for a dramatic international clash. A David and Goliath battle quietly unfolded in the heart of Oslo, proving that the entertainment business is rarely about the music and almost always about aggressive financial control. Just as everyone was talking about her new independent direction in the United States, a brutal legal conflict was simultaneously erupting back in her home country of Norway. In late 2025, she became deeply entangled in a high-stakes standoff with the national broadcaster. NRK, the intense dispute ignited when abruptly withdrew from the Grand, a highly anticipated televised musical event. The massive network viewed this move as a breach of agreement and aggressively demanded over 130,000 Norwegian kroner, which translates to roughly $11,000 in financial compensation for travel, staging, and designer wardrobe expenses. It was a daunting legal clash that pitted a young, newly independent artist against a massive, government-backed broadcasting network. The network set strict payment deadlines and publicly demanded explanations, turning up the heat on the 20-year-old vocalist. However, her legal team fiercely defended her position, pointing out that formal agreements were never fully executed and citing extreme extenuating circumstances for her sudden departure from the production. For several grueling months, the network attempted to force a collection, creating a massive public distraction during a critical pivot in her career. Yet, her management held their ground with remarkable stoicism, absolutely refusing to bow to corporate intimidation. Finally, after months of a tense legal stalemate, the network threw in the towel and dropped the case entirely. This decisive victory was a powerful statement that she would not be bullied by institutional power. But what the public didn't know was the terrifying reason she dropped out in the first place. Behind the beautiful melodies and the international accolades lay a wall of silence so thick that a massive wave of artificial threatened to completely rewrite her reality. The sudden withdrawal from the Norwegian competition was just the beginning of a highly controversial period that insiders now refer to as her silent exile. When her legal team communicated with the broadcasting network, they cited severe security warnings and personal safety issues that had recently surfaced. Accusations emerged that the intense global spotlight had attracted a dangerous element, forcing her family to take drastic protective measures to ensure her physical well-being. Adding to the chaos, devastating environmental wildfires swept through her region in Los Angeles right around the time of her withdrawal, further displacing her community and adding severe stress to an already volatile situation. For a brief time, the girl who lived in the public eye vanished into the shadows. Her team drastically tightened her inner circle, pulling her away from public appearances to ensure her physical and emotional safety. During this vacuum of actual information, a bizarre wave of misinformation swept across the internet. A tsunami of artificial, digital-generated videos and wild speculations flooded online platforms, falsely claiming she had permanently retired from the industry or suffered a total breakdown. Fans were left completely in the dark, fueling a firestorm of speculation that dominated social media. But the reality was far more strategic and calculated. She used the silence to shield herself from the vultures of the entertainment world, that her mental health and artistic vision remained completely impenetrable, quietly for a massive live comeback. As an investigative journalist, seeing an artist completely disappear during their peak momentum is almost always a sign of a massive crisis. But in this case, it was a brilliantly executed defensive. She refused to let the tabloids dictate her narrative, and instead of rushing back to the microphone to clear her name, she let the mill burn itself out. This period of intense isolation became the ultimate crucible, setting the foundation for the most ambitious project of her entire career. Most musical artists spend a lifetime desperately trying to find a single song that defines them, but she just dropped an entire project that feels like it was whispered directly from the past. While the world mistakenly thought she was hiding in defeat during her Exile, was actually locked in the laboratory, completely reinventing her sound. The true secret weapon of her 2026 global takeover was finally unveiled with the highly anticipated release of her album, Secret of Love. The internet went into an absolute frenzy when she dropped a haunting teaser for tracks like The Day I Chose You and Starlight on social media. But the most shocking revelation for the music industry wasn't just the sheer vocal quality of the music, it was the profound origin of the lyrics. The industry was stunned to discover that the emotional depth of these tracks wasn't manufactured by a room full of expensive Hollywood ghostwriters or trend-chasing producers. Instead, the deeply moving words were heavily influenced by the brilliant, private journals and poetry of her own grandmother. By blending her family's rich, historical heritage with her haunting jazz fusion vocals, created an intimate, masterful body of work. This family code turned her music into a deeply personal narrative, allowing fans to connect with her on a spiritual level that corporate pop stars could never possibly achieve. The critically acclaimed success of this project forced record executives to completely reevaluate their outdated business models, proving that genuine familial connection sells far better than any manufactured controversy ever could. For an investigative reporter tracking the shifts in modern media, this album represents a massive paradigm shift. She proved that audiences in 2026 are starving for real substance, not just algorithmic hooks. By channeling her grandmother's profound wisdom into a modern jazz fusion masterpiece, she bridged a generational gap that the major labels thought was impossible to cross. The neon lights of Las Vegas are meant to illuminate the biggest stars on the planet, and she decided to step into that glare entirely on her own uncompromising terms. The climax of her massive 2026 comeback took place at the historic International at the Resort, the very stage where legends like once ruled. Stepping onto this iconic stage on January 31st, 2026, as a newly minted independent artist was an unprecedented achievement for someone her age. It marked the definitive moment she transitioned from a beloved child prodigy into a mature, sovereign vocal powerhouse. The atmosphere she created in the room was electric, atmospheric, and completely unbothered by the traditional rules of modern pop performance. In a world completely obsessed with backing tracks, massive LED screens, and heavy choreography, she delivered raw, unfiltered vocal perfection. This mystery and sheer vocal dominance only drove demand through the roof, sending secondary ticket prices into the stratosphere and creating an aura of exclusivity that hasn't been seen in decades. The shows themselves have been described as intensely atmospheric and emotionally draining, cementing her status as an elite live performer. As a journalist covering the entertainment beat, witnessing an artist captivate a full of paying customers with just a microphone and a vintage aura is incredibly rare. It was a massive gamble that paid off entirely, setting the perfect stage for the business moves that would completely upend the industry. She proved that her voice alone was enough to command a room that usually requires millions of dollars in special effects to fill. This residency wasn't just a series of concerts. It was a loud declaration that she had arrived as a heavyweight in the live entertainment sector. She stripped away the synthetic noise of the modern era and forced the audience to reckon with pure, unadulterated talent. In an era where every pop star is desperately fighting for 15 seconds of viral fame, she decided to completely abandon the digital rat race and build an empire strictly on her own terms. The massive critical success of her grandmother's poetry, translated into music, led to the true foundation of why she is a powerhouse, the independent brand. By embracing her jazz roots and refusing to compromise her patented vocal tone for cheap radio play, she created a direct-to-fan business model that completely bypassed the traditional Hollywood gatekeepers, made the highly controversial decision to dominate the major digital streaming platforms entirely on her own terms, retaining her master recordings and creative control. This brilliant, family-driven strategy allowed her to keep the creative soul of her music perfectly intact, while simultaneously retaining the massive profit margins that major record labels usually siphon away from young artists. She took the hardest possible road, building a self-sustaining ecosystem that relies on the loyalty of true music fans rather than the fleeting attention of casual scrollers. By taking complete control over distribution, publishing, and live performances, she essentially turned her grandmother's profound wisdom into a global, unstoppable brand. Top executives in London and New York are currently at their digital charts in absolute disbelief, watching a 20-year-old independent artist outturn and outperform their most expensive corporate marketing campaigns without breaking a sweat. Her 2026 resurgence is the ultimate declaration of artistic sovereignty. To wrap up this investigative report, she didn't just survive the notoriously difficult transition from child star to adult artist, she completely shattered the mold. From facing down aggressive government broadcasters and navigating terrifying security threats in absolute silence, to building a highly lucrative family-run empire, she has proven that authenticity cannot be manufactured. She is paving the way for a new generation of musicians who prioritize mental health, creative control, and familial loyalty over superficial metrics and corporate validation. The Barefoot Prodigy has fully stepped into her monumental power, and the music industry will never be the same again.